We are going to go live to that news conference about shots being fired at a Jewish girls' school in North York. Let's listen in live.
Mooshka, and the educators across our community who, in the worst of circumstances, are teaching our children how to be resilient in the face of hate. They're teaching our kids how to maintain strong identities even when facing rising violent anti-Semitism. I want to thank the parents of our community who are raising their children in circumstances we could never have imagined, certainly not in a country like Canada, where we pride ourselves on being safe, being a safe place for families of all faiths and cultures. But our families and our parents are standing tall. As Jews, we have always done so in the face of adversaries. Hate crimes in this city are increasing. Nearly a 50% increase in the last year. Anti-Semitic crimes have increased by nearly 75%. This is not the Toronto that my parents immigrated to. This is not the Toronto that I grew up in, but it is the Toronto that my children are going to face unless we take strong action. What happened here this weekend was the latest example of an escalating anti-Semitism unlike anything we've seen in the GTA. As Jews, we know that violent words lead to violent actions. This weekend's shooting was the predictable consequence of a year of Jews and Israelis being dehumanized and demonized right here in this city, whether in the hundreds of angry protests we've witnessed or in the sickening hate that our kids are exposed to on social media. What happened here this weekend crossed a dangerous line. It was the second attempt to intimidate and isolate the wonderful children and people here at Bais Mooshka. And it was a deliberate attempt to spread fear in our entire Jewish community. An attempt to make us cower and hide who we are. But as you can see in the vibrancy of our community, in the tens of thousands of people who came together last week to stand together at the vigil to remember October 7th, at those who came to high holiday services in our synagogues across the city, in those who send their children to our schools, the attackers have completely failed. We are more united than ever, more committed to supporting each other than ever, more determined to fighting anti-Semitism wherever it appears than we've ever been, and more dedicated to doing what the school does here every day with the beautiful children, to teaching our children to love being Jewish and to be proud of who they are, to live Jewish lives to the fullest, be it in our schools, our synagogue, our community centers, or our neighborhoods. We send three messages today. First, to our incredible Jewish community, we are strong and we are resilient and we aren't going anywhere because we belong here in Toronto and across Canada. And however dark things may seem, we are hopeful because a dustbin of history is filled with those who have tried to destroy the Jewish people and have failed. Second, to those behind this despicable act of hate, and those behind every act of Jew hatred we've been forced to witness in our city. Every time you target Jews, we will double down on being Jewish, and thanks to the wonderful police, and with the support of public officials and allies, we are confident that you will be held accountable for these heinous acts. And third, to our elected officials at all three levels of government. The time has come for words of concern to be replaced by concrete action. The first responsibility of any elected official is to protect our society and our democracy. This is the second time that this Jewish school has been targeted by gunfire. How many times will the students and staff of the school have to wake up to shattered windows and bullet holes before our leaders take real action? 3 times? 5 times, 10 times, or God forbid, will action only come when something much, much worse has happened? Our governments are not powerless. They have the power to hold accountable the groups that openly support terror, that are connected to terrorist groups, that are calling for violence in our streets, including by listing them as illegal terrorist organizations. Our governments have the power to finally make the glorification of terrorism a criminal offense, They have the power to invest in greater policing and in prosecution resources to protect our community and ultimately all of Canadian society. Because it isn't lost in our community that on October 7th of this year, the very day that we are gathering to mourn those who were murdered and to call for the release of the hostages, extremists in the streets of our country were burning Canadian flags and chanting, "Death to Canada, death to Israel." It should be clear to everyone that our community, including the students and staff of this wonderful school, are simply the first targets in a deliberate and vicious campaign to destroy all that we as Canadians hold dear. And whether or not they win won't depend on the words of politicians. It will depend on the actions or the inactions of those who are democratically entrusted with protecting us. Thank you. It's now my honor to introduce Rabbi Sossover and Rabbi Vidal of Bais Mooshka.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. I first of all want to send thanks to God for that there was no injuries and for continuing to protect the Jewish community. As well, I want to thank the community that there was such an amazing outpour of love and support financially and emotionally. It's amazing on what sometimes this is like the silver lining that comes with a tragedy, but it's unbelievable to see the amount of outpour that we received, and we thank everyone for that. And it's definitely warming for us to see this type of outpour. As well, a message to the perpetrators that we will not be scared, and as Daniel mentioned before, each time we get stronger and we become more united, and we'll continue being more united, and it only makes the Jewish community even more united, and we'll continue doing that. As well, I want to thank the 32 Division and the police department that's been so gracious and always been there for us. At the same time, I'd like to send a message to the elected officials that more has to be done. As we see what's going on over the past year, the soft response to the hate crimes and to the hate speech and to the hate, all that's going on, that's the cause of more and more happening. We had this is the second incident. Nothing. I'm sure there was something done about it. But they did some investigation, but we didn't catch the perpetrators, and that's the reason why they felt comfortable to do it again. And as Daniel mentioned before, what is it going to take? Do we need to have something, God forbid, a real tragedy? We need to take this incident as though it was a real tragedy, and put in all the power and everything that we have in order to as though this was a real tragedy, and bring the perpetrators to justice, as well as all the other hate crimes and hate speech that's going on, that we know who they are, that they have to be brought to justice in order for this not to continue. And as well, I'd want to just finish off to thank the parents and the students of the school who come to school with such happiness. Even though we stand with where we are, they come and they're not deterred, and they continue, and we continue learning. So thank you to the parents, thank you to the students, and we're going now into the new holiday of Sukkot, which the holiday of Sukkot signifies unity. So we should see unity amongst the Jewish people, unity amongst the world, and we should only see peace and happy holidays. Happy Chag Sameach.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to echo what has been said until now. A tremendous, tremendous thank to God Almighty for protecting us. Yes, this happened, and this is tragic, horrible, but thank God no one was hurt. Also like to thank everyone who's here today, all the people from the UJA, the press, elected officials. Thank you for your support. Also like to thank, after the last shooting, sad to say that we had a last shooting and we're having another shooting. But after the last shooting, the Jewish community came together. It was so heartwarming to see people from all walks of life Jews and non-Jews who came, offered their words of support, offered lunches for the children, and anything they can do to help us overcome this tremendous challenge. A tremendous thanks to the Toronto Police and especially the 32 Division who have been there to support us at all times whenever we needed them. They've been around, and hopefully they'll just be around to prevent anything, and we won't have to deal with this again. And last but not least, really, the parents and the children and the staff at Bais Mooshka. There are no words that can express their resilience, their strength. No parent should ever have to be fearful sending their child to school. No child should have fear coming to school. No child should ever hear that their school was shot at. It is horrible. Children are innocent. They come here to learn, and we are here to educate them. We are not here to respond to activities of hate or any kind of targeted activities. This happened on the holiest day of the Jewish calendar. It happened on Yom Kippur. And obviously this makes this even a bigger tragedy, that on such a holy day there could be such hate and negativity that could bring such a horrible incident. And again, I'd like to echo and reiterate to please, it's time for action. We have not, it seems like the perpetrators of the first shooting were not caught, and perhaps this gives a little room for people to kind of do whatever they want. But we are here. Goodness will always prevail. Truth will prevail. Light will prevail. And we're going to continue to do what we do and teach these children and educate them, because that's what they deserve. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. Thank you for your support.